Insane in the membrane.
Welcome to Insane in the Membrane with me, Rich Wilson, and this week I'm joined by the brilliant comedian Sam Morrison. Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you on board. Are you well? You good?
I am good. Unfortunately, in America, it's morning. I know it's
yeah.
So I am, a victim of the time zones.
Oh, dude, yeah. What time is it there?
It's 10 a.m.
Okay. Yeah, but even though everyone's like, yeah, but up in the morning, do it. You'd be like, no, not when you're a comedian. Don't do mornings. Not really.
Usually, it is funny to do a podcast in the morning.
Yeah, because normally you've had a day, you've been used to talking to people, your thoughts have kind of aligned and they're in some kind of shape. The first thing in the morning, I don't know. My wife is a morning person and she's up and singing in the bathroom and doing all this, and I'm like, listen, babe, I love you, but I can't.
Listen, babe.
Yeah.
You're the one for me, but we are different. I can sometimes do that, but if it's emails, in the morning, I'm all about the emails. I really, my brain, wake up in a creative way, usually until the night. And then the night I feel like my brain is sort of split. Daytime, I'm very type A, left brain. I don't even remember what the difference between those is, but left brain or right brain. But yeah, in the morning, I'm very analytical, and I feel like in the evening, I'm very creative. I've also never said this out loud, so I guess we're going to test the theory today.
Yeah. Isn't it funny when you get on podcasts and ideas come falling out and you go, yeah, that must be how I think.
I know. All the time I say things and I'm like, wait, is that true?
Yeah.
Wait through the sentence.
Is this just where I'm at this moment? I think that's it. That's where I'm at this moment in time. This is what I believe. This is my process. This is what I do. And then later on, when I'm actually doing what I'm doing, I'm like, oh no, that was bollocks. That was complete rubbish.
Yep. I'll say things. I mean, I feel like we all probably do, but I'll say things all the time, and then I finish the sentence and be like, did I just make that up?
Yeah, I do. I do that all the time. And I'm like, I don't think this at all. Why am I saying this? I don't know if it's kind of might be a defense thing when I'm trying to ingratiate myself with the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
It's like a defense thing. You're trying to, I don't know, maybe there's a primal urge to kind of deflate any kind of animosity or kind of attack. Do you know what I mean? You kind of you become the person you're talking to in a way.
Yeah, you want to connect.
Yeah.
And maybe we're just scared that there will be this awkward pause.
Yeah.
Just keep going. But that's interesting that I like that you made it evolutionary.
I think it must be. We can't be the only people. I can't be the only person that listens to themselves talking and go, where is this coming from? I don't do it all the time, but every now and again I'll catch myself and go, really? When was this?
I know. I'll do it I'll stop in the middle of a sentence and say, especially when I'm on stage, because I think sometimes it can be funny, but I'll stop in the middle of a sentence and say, is that true, or do I believe that, if I'm improvising or doing that work.
Yeah, I know what you mean. My brain, especially in the middle especially when you're on stage and your brain's just, all this stuff's just tumbling out of your head, and then you just, I think then I have to kind of go, this is just me trying to be funny, and I'm just throwing anything out.
Well, there's this nice pressure to move forward. It's the same thing in a podcast, but I feel like it's a little more intense on stage, where you do have to keep. I feel like I'm so overly analytical. I'm usually not as free with my thoughts. I'll usually say things if I've thought them out and made sure that I believe them and they are, they make sense.
Yeah.
But when you're on stage, you have the audience and the lights looking at you. You don't have time to do that, so things just start pouring out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same with the podcast in a less there's less pressure to move forward, but it is, there's other people listening to us. And when you start to think about that, you can kind of get in your head and you want to keep the conversation moving forward.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something not untrue, but it's it's at the tip of your mind.
Yeah, I think, there's an element of that. I think, you know what? Sometimes I forget that people listen to this.
Yeah.
And I say,
right?
I say,
conversation, like,
yeah.
How many people are listening to me?
Yeah. If I really thought about it, I'd shit myself. It just,
right, exactly.
I wouldn't do it. So now my brain's going, oh my God, all those people.
I'm sorry. That was the worst.
It's all good. So where in America are you, Sam?
I'm in New York City.
Nice. Actually in the city.
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Called Greenpoint. I got to move next week, but I love living here.
Yeah, Brooklyn's cool. Has it become very gentrified over the last time I was there was 2011. I think it just started to gentrify then. Oh
yeah, it's been on a nice upswing for I don't know how many years, but certainly before 2011.
Yeah, very cool place. I remember, just wandering around Brooklyn, like, because to me, and I've said this before to people, we've had guests on from the States. When we go to America, because we grew up watching the movies, it feels like we're on a movie set to us. Like walking around, like, oh my God, like the steam coming out of the ground and the cabs going by, and you're like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in my experience, and people I've spoken to, and there was one time I was walking down to the Ha Comedy Club from Times Square, and Al Pacino was stood on the street on his phone. So it felt, pretty Hollywood to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
We obviously have the opposite experience, but
of course
that makes sense because, like when I go to the UK, there's castles.
Oh yeah.
And that is very movie-like. And you're like going in the subway feels like a movie. And I'm like, you got it backwards.
We don't even go to the castles.
Yeah, exactly. You're coming from a land where you have a king and you think that we live in the world that's made up?
Yeah, no. We don't. Yeah, I remember comedian Tom Rhodes coming over and he goes, it just feels like, like at any moment it's going to be a giant that's going to squash your village. There's
well, that's what the BFG was, right?
Yeah. That's it, yeah. So, comedy, when did you get started in comedy?
I got started, almost 6 years ago.
Right, okay.
Hold on, let me do that thing where I stop halfway through and then about it. Yeah, really May 1st, 2017. So that's almost exactly 6 years.
Man, what got you started? What was the catalyst that made you go, yeah, I'm going to do this?
Oh God, I really change my answer every time someone asks me this. I think I was I tried it in college a couple times. I performed at university, and then over the summer I got to come to New York, and I did some open mics then. And so I knew I really wanted to try it out in a sort of more real way than I was doing in college. But I don't know if it was any particular moment. I didn't really come in being like, I'm going to be a professional comedian. I didn't know that was an option really. Yeah. I just got addicted to open mics and I just kept doing them.
Yeah. That's the thing. Once you've done it once, I've said this before, once you've done it once, you know whether you want to do it again. There's just whether it went good, whether it went badly, there's a switch that flicks on and you just go, yes, I want to do this again. And then you just get, straight away you're caught up in it, in the workings of the comedy world. You're just looking for that next gig, and then you'll be at some gig and then someone else will go, oh, come and do this gig or contact this person. And before you know it, it's snowballed and you're just running around gigging all the time.
Yeah, especially in New York, mics are so accessible. You can do, there were nights I did 6-7 mics a night. Wow. And did that every night for every night of the week. They really get addictive because you do poorly and you're like, I'm better than that. I got to try again. I got to get this joke to work. I believe in this joke. Or you do well and you're like, that was the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and is there still in America? I know when I was in the States, especially in New York, it seems to be. I don't know if it's changed now, but it was like if you were playing this club, they didn't like it. If you were playing that club, I know there was a kind of there was the ha, and it was a bit funny with Stand Up New York and wherever else it was. They were a bit like, yeah, is there still a bit of that sort of territorial thing? I don't know.
Um, yeah, I think it is, but just with a few clubs now.
Right.
Um, I know that like the clubs on McDougal don't really like that
Mm.
because they're all on like the same street.
Yeah. Right, that makes sense.
But I don't think any of the other ones. I mean, certainly not. I mean, I've never performed at any of those other clubs. Stand Up New York, Broadway Comedy Club, the Stand, New York Comedy Club. They've never been competitive with each other, and in fact, I think pretty supportive of each other.
That's cool. Yeah, that's nice because when I was there and I was like, oh, that seems a bit. Surely you should be, like you say, supporting each other, helping each other out, like, you know, and it's good for the comedy, It's good for the community. Everyone's doing things, and it brings everyone together. But yeah, because you don't really get that. You don't really get that in London. There is, if you go out of London in like if you go to Sheffield, and normally it's because the other club has opened after the other one, and it's too close. So there's a bit of that. Treading on each other's toes a little bit. So I understand that bit. I've been caught up in a few of those where they've gone like, can you come and play my gig? I'm like, no, I can't because I play this one.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in them. They've been really good to me. I don't want to be a prick, but it just, gets a bit exhausting.
I always find it funny. I don't know if I should talk about, but there's like those gigs where you play a gig and then in the contract is like, you can't play another gig in this like 60-mile radius for a year or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
And that always seemed hilarious to me. Like, I promise you, me playing in a town 40 miles over 7 months after is not going to affect this show.
Nah, exactly. But all these things it kind of plays on my mind a little bit. I love comedy and I love doing what we do. But sometimes some of the stuff behind the scenes fucks me up a little bit. And it's like, I'm not just saying just that, but other stuff. And it's just, when you get into this, you just think everyone's mates and we all get on and we're all running around making people laugh. And it's one big party. But really, when you get into it, it's quite stressful, really. Trying to book the gigs, get to the gigs, get paid.
Yeah, there's, and the more your dreams come true, the worse it gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
More, kind of business you have to learn and understand and like very quickly master, and the more pressure that there is. And I think that's why probably you hear like the biggest comedians talk on podcasts and they were like, the glory days was when me and my friends were just, miking in New York 2 years into comedy. And of course that doesn't make sense to probably most people, but it's probably because of what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's funny, I didn't really come through with anybody. So when I hear, like the other day I was listening to Tom Papa and Patton Oswalt, and they were talking about who they were gigging with. Like Tom Papa was saying, like when he came through from Boston and all that, and who he was with, and it was really interesting. But I didn't really have that. I sort of came through and missed out the open mic circuit because I was emceeing already. So, I kind of feel there's a few people that started at the same time, but we weren't really. It wasn't like this body of comedians coming through together, in my experience anyway. So I don't know if that was the same with you.
Oh, that happens with... Yeah, I started in New York. And I feel like most comedians... I don't know. Starting in New York, I think most comedians would agree is not the best idea.
Right.
It's just a tough city to start. And then there are these comics that, especially, they come in from Chicago. And there's this great Chicago community in New York.
Yeah.
And they come in with already this community and they already have these friends and they're already getting booked on all these shows. Of course, they put in all the time and hard work to do it in Chicago. But I'm so jealous of that. I wish I had that starting out because it really was and still is in many ways such a lonely profession.
God,
you find your people quickly, that is gold.
Yeah. Especially, Chicago seems to be, it's the home of improv.
Hmm.
as I'm aware. And so there's always been a really rich comedic vein running through Chicago, which
Hmm.
is really unlike a lot of other places. I don't really know of anywhere else where it's got that history, really.
It is interesting because of I think, yeah, Second City is probably the most well known improv thing in the country, and it's in Chicago.
Yeah. And I don't really know of anywhere else that's got that. It's a really interesting thing. One day I'll get to go to Chicago. I've made it. I want to go just to see, just to have a
Yeah,
look.
it's another city that you can get up a lot. I
Yeah.
think I've learned. I mean, I've only been there. I was just there this past weekend, and then before that, I've only been there once. Yeah, I've only been there once. But it seems like there's a good like. I feel like you really need a couple different audiences when you're starting out. You need like the alt scene and the like more clubby scene, and
Definitely.
various different scenes to like find your voice and see where you fit. And I feel like Chicago has that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
probably most cities, it's just there's not enough gigs in general to it's like this
Yeah.
is the main club, and then you have maybe a main alt room. Um, but Chicago seems to have these like nice pockets, and
Yeah,
everyone's
nice.
be nicer than in New.
Yeah. Not as cutthroat, do you reckon? It's a bit like London. It's a bit more. Yeah, I think the thing with big cities, like they don't care if you can keep up with them. Not just comedy. I mean, in general, if you live in a big city, it's like this is the speed of the city. This is how it operates, and you either keep up with it or you fuck off. There's
Right.
no time for you unless you keep up with it.
Or you can build your own thing and go at your own pace if that's successful. But
Mm.
otherwise, the scene just barrels forward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this is
How
go on.
how friendly is London? Would you say to like someone just starting out?
I think it's great. I do believe, even though, like I say, because it's a big city, so there's a more of a cutthroat feel to it, I guess. But on the whole, most people in our industry in the UK have always been pretty cool. Everybody knows who the arseholes are,
Yeah.
so you kind of know to avoid them, and they kind of get outed and pushed out pretty, if not pretty quickly, but eventually. But everyone's pretty cool. Everyone's pretty helpful. But I found that as well when I was in New York and then going upstate, going to Poughkeepsie and doing bananas, and then out to Stanford, and I did the Tree House, I think it was, and everyone was really cool. Everyone was like really pleased that you were there and helpful, and yeah, speak to this guy, get hold of this dude, and do that and do that. So I think most people in most places in our industry are pretty cool, and I think the public, if you're from elsewhere, I think if you're funny, they'll accept you. It's if you're not, then they'll let you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's great to hear. I'm glad you had such an
Yeah.
experience. I found that as a traveling comedian, people I think are a lot nicer to you when you are from out of town.
Mm. Yeah.
And maybe I don't know. It's also like I think when you're. I think that I got the brunt, where I'm like talking negatively about New York, is when you start out as an open micer and really people just don't look you in the eyes. And
Yeah.
you go to the mics and nobody laughs at you just because they don't know who you are. And it's kind of brutal. But of course, I mean the more you kind of go up the ranks, like the nicer people get, I think.
Yeah, true. I mean, once they've seen that you can actually do it, when you're starting out and you're green and you do all right, but you don't do great or whatever, you just don't know anybody, and yeah, it takes a while. But I think it's that moment when you walk into agreement with people, go, "Hey, good to see you, man. How you doing?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, this is what they talked about. This is it now. Oh, nice." Yeah.
just basic human
Yeah.
respect. That's what we're going for.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, there are so many easier ways to achieve. Like, some part of me is like, did I just start doing an activity, realize I was on the outside of the cool kid circle, and then put in all this hard work to get in the cool kid circle? How much of that was an impulse for how hard I've worked?
Yeah. Well, it's like it just reminds me of school all the time.
All the
That
time.
kind of pecking order, and who's what, who are the cool kids, who are the nerds, who are this, who are that. But
It's
like school, I was sort of friends with everybody, so
Hmm.
You know, it,
Just like in school, I rode a rolly backpack. So it's tough.
did you double strap?
What does that mean?
It was in 21 Jump Street when in the remake when they went into the school, and he's got his bag over his shoulder, and everyone else in the school they've got both straps on with their backpack, and he's like, "You double strapping? What the fuck?" It's like, yeah, that's what we do. It makes sense. Otherwise, you're gonna drop it. It's just yeah, just things like that make me laugh, man. But I'm glad that we're back out and we're able to travel now. We're getting out there again after everything that's gone on, and it's been a tricky time. It was certainly a tricky time for you with the pandemic and the lockdown, and you sadly lost your partner, and that when I was reading that, and I was like, fuck, man, because I didn't. We were all ill, and we all had it at one point or another. But I wasn't really affected. I don't like nobody passed away that I knew. So I know people that did, and so to be affected on that level must have been hard. Like how do you cope with that after the aftermath of that?
I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you.
No,
I didn't have any good coping mechanisms.
no,
It's just brutal.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. I mean, it was because that's the thing. You know, like when someone's I've said this before. When someone's old, it's kind of like when they get to the end of their time, you kind of go, "Oh, well, it's sad, and they won't be here." But that it's just that's how life is. But to be taken away at that age, and someone that you love and expected to be together with a lot longer than that, that's something I can't comprehend that. I guess we've talked about grief on here before. And you don't. What a lot of people have said is that you don't. The grief doesn't go away. You just get used to. You work out how to carry it around.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's definitely true. That was really helpful for me. There was this image that I saw that, um, for the most part, well, I feel like at different times I was more open to like grief theory or like, there's a lot of like textbook stuff on grief that I really hated, especially when I first started going through it. But of course, as time has gone on, found it to be really helpful. But there was so there was a circle, and then right on the outside of that circle was another larger circle, and then they said the inside circle is your grief, and as time moves on, the outside circle gets bigger, but the inside circle stays the same size.
Right.
It's not that the grief has changed; it's just that your life has gotten bigger, and you've learned how to just like you said, carry forward sort of with it rather than like move forward from it.
Yeah.
And that's really been because it doesn't change. I mean, it does. Your relationship with it changes.
Yeah. That's it. It's just it's and especially with something that we didn't see coming as well. Like with the 1 minute we were all running around, we were doing whatever, and then we heard this. We were like, oh, there's this bug coming. Everyone's got to be a bit careful. And we'd had this before, so we all kind of went, yeah, I'm sure that's nothing. I'm sure that's just the news just making something bigger than it really is. And then when it hit, and I remember when the first time, and my partner at the time was away work, she was away gigging, and then they were like, listen, well, you need to, the gig got pulled, her gig got pulled that night. And then she rang me and she went, I'm in Newcastle, need to get back to you. They've pulled the gig. What should I do? I'm like, run to the station. And then she got the train and was coming back. And I'm like, she goes, well, I'll get to London, but I can't get back because we lived out of London. It was like a hour and a half or whatever it is in the car. And I'm like, look, if you just get to London, I'll come and get you. And when I think back to that now, I'm like, fuck, what a fucked up time. That it was a real, like, it was like the movies. It was all of a sudden, it was like, shit, we need to, you could feel everything starting to lock down, like around you. It's like Indiana Jones running across the rope bridge and it's dropping away behind him as he's running across the cliff face. And it was just.
And thank you for that metaphor because that really helped. No, I don't think I've ever seen Indiana Jones.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you know how old are you? May I ask?
28.
28. Right. Okay. So yeah, I totally get that. I forget. My sons are 31 and 25. So yes, there's sometimes I say, like yesterday, my son messaged me and went, Dad, have you heard about this band called Yes? And I was like, yeah, I have. He went, oh my God. He goes, where? I goes, where was this before? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, you're still discovering stuff. Yeah.
That's such a funny way to say it. Oh
Yeah.
shit, you're still discovering stuff.
Yeah, I forget because so
What a
my
gift, though.
you what? Sorry,
What a gift, though. How old are you, may I ask?
I'm 51.
Well, and you have discovered everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. There's nothing left.
You're
Done
gonna,
now. I'm
yeah.
done. But
Well,
my wife, when I say, oh, like she hasn't seen Jaws, she hasn't seen. There's loads of stuff she hasn't seen. I go, what? Come on, man.
yeah, I get it. No, I mean, now I'm doing the same thing, and I feel like an old queen because these kids don't know what Full House was or something, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
I can't. I guess I'm starting to have that with the younger generation where they don't know things. I mean, then there's like all these TikToks that show like the generational differences between like a 28-year-old and a 21-year-old, which shouldn't be that different, but because the internet, our like cultural references are constantly switching so much that it is like. I mean, I perform at a lot of colleges, and boy, this generation is fucked up.
Really? Still? I thought you guys had it sorted. I thought you were sussed. I thought you were like, no, we're not going to listen to those old pricks. We got it together. We know what we're doing.
Well, I guess I don't. When I hear most comedians complain about doing colleges, I think it's mostly like, oh, they're too sensitive, or you can't talk about this. But I've never had that issue.
No, I've never experienced that.
Yeah, I don't know what that. I don't think I've ever actually talked to. I do like a lot of colleges,
Right.
and I don't know if I've ever. No, there's been a couple colleges that have like censored what I could say, but that was because they were like a Baptist college, and the minister was there or something like that.
Yeah.
I've never had like a sensitivity issue. I don't know what that is. I'm more talking about like, they're just worse audience because they are on their phones and you have to like work harder. They're not as generous with their outside laughter.
Yeah.
You're like London.
Yeah. Do you know, it's true actually. Do you know, so last week there was a couple in the front row and they were very young. They were at uni, 19. And I got chatting to them. There weren't many in the audience. And so I could talk to everybody. And I was talking to them and they were really switched on and they really got it. And we had a back and forth about it. And they went, yeah, and they were like, yeah, but we're a bit younger and we're sat in a comedy club and we're watching, we feel exposed. And this is how they were saying, they go, we feel exposed. So we don't know whether to laugh or not. We don't know whether to do the thing. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, you've got things going on. It's not just me figuring you out, you're figuring me out. And yeah, it was really interesting.
It is. I'm the first time I'll actually be in London is for my show on May 17th. And I've been told that this Soho theater crowd, they can be kind of quiet.
They can be kind of what they'll be doing is watching the show. And at the end, you'll hear this massive rah, and standing ovations, and they go mad and oh my god, because they just sort of sit there and they go yeah, because it's not like a normal comedy club, it's a theatre, so they see it as a lot of times they treat it like it's a theatre.
It's so hard for me not to try to get them to the best that they can be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a cultural difference and. Screw it. Let's come off like an elitist New Yorker. I think we're the best people in the world. No, I think there is maybe a difference cultural I don't know if it's true. Call me out here if I'm being, but like, you guys don't like you'll sit through shows and comedians as I feel like a New York comedian is more likely to um like tell the audience they're being a bad audience.
Yeah.
And that's me. I will do that. And I think, it's part of what I guess part of the New York scene. Not all like New York comedians do that as well, but I feel like more of us will do that because we have dealt with so many weird crowds and stuff. I don't know what it is, but there does seem like this difference where like, I don't know, like if you're just bombing and then you're doing your show and the audience isn't with you. Like there's two different paths you can take. You can maintain your poise and pretend like you're killing. And just the idea that like you're not bombing as long as like you don't lose confidence.
No.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that, and it will be a good show. But the other option is to like dig in and try to ask them why they don't like you and try to figure out what's in the air and try to get them to teach them how to be a good comedy audience.
Yeah.
And I can't not do that to try to get them to be the best audience they can be.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A little scared to go to London where you're supposed to sort of, or I don't know, maybe specifically Soho Theatre, and I have this assumption that you're supposed to sort of quietly perform in a vacuum. Like,
to be honest, though, I've heard about this where they go, "Oh, yeah, watch it like a theatre show," but when I did it, it wasn't like that, and I did it coming out of the lockdown, so it was half. So everyone was still divided up. Everyone was just sat in their bubble in twos, and everyone was they had masks on as well. So you're trying to get a response out of people that have got masks, and so you can't see if they're smiling and all that. But I don't know whether it was because they were aware that they were masked up, and so they were more vocal, letting me know that they were still there and they were still enjoying it. It might have been a bit of that, but they were definitely not. They weren't just sitting there watching it. They were definitely laughing like a proper comedy club. So I think, yeah, different people, different experiences. But in my experience, I had a really good time. So, and I imagine that you will as well. So I would put any preconceived ideas or anything anyone said to you, like I've just said that thing to you, fuck all that. Just go and enjoy it. Just go and enjoy it. And the more fun you have, the better it'll be. They'll enjoy it as well. They'll feed off that energy. So,
yeah.
But but the thing is, the show is about what happened as well, isn't it? It's about your partner. Yeah. And so I read the thing in the Times and he said, like, you managed to find humour in what had happened. And did that, was that like an inner kind of fight to kind of like, get through it, I guess? Humour is, laughter is the best medicine and that sort of thing. Because it must have been hard to find, for such a harrowing story when you lose a loved one like that, to then turn it into a comedy show. That's hard.
I think, and this is one of those things that I said to a friend and it just sort of came out and then I was like, is that true? I think it might be. But the comedy is there. Like, this stuff is funny.
Yeah.
Death, when people die, there's all these weird rules that we have, and there's a way that we're supposed to talk about it and think about it, and there's a way that people treat you. And there's just so much funny stuff that happens.
Yeah.
And I think it's less about, like, turning it into comedy and more about, like, allowing yourself, sort of like giving yourself permission to see it as comedy.
Yeah, laughing at there are some absurdities connected to it, to death, and like you say, the rituals that we all have to follow, the way we're supposed to talk about it and be around it, and when looks like when over here, I don't know if they do it in the States, but if someone gets killed on a bicycle, they spray paint a bicycle white and they chain it to the railings by where the person passed away, and in that horrible accident. You're like, don't do that. I don't want to be remembered at that bit. I get why people do it. They'll put flowers on a lamppost where that person was killed, and you're like, I don't know, man.
Even the idea of flowers like is funny. Why do we give someone flowers?
Yeah, with
They
their
just,
name.
flowers do one thing. They die.
Especially when you pick them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here, I killed someone else. Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, someone else died. These are dying.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss. These will die soon. Now you've got something else you need to tidy up as well.
Also, you'll die soon. We're all
Yeah,
just
anyway.
a reminder that it's all gonna end. So
Everything's rotting away. We're all dying. As we speak, we're all dying.
it's beautiful now, but it won't be in 24 hours.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry for your loss.
Sorry for your loss, but only for the next 24 hours.
And then these will remind you of what's actually happened. So anyway, bye. But you must think as well, it's not because I know other people that have written shows when they've lost loved ones, and they talk about the fact that person would have been absolutely okay with you doing this show as well. They would have kind of gone, yeah, I know if someone was to do it about me, I'd be like, yeah, fucking do your worst. It would have been, and I think people would know that. They go, yeah, Rich would have been all right with this. Was that the same with you?
I mean, I have this conversation in my head with Jonathan all the time.
Yeah.
But he just was so supportive of me.
Yeah.
And I just know he would be so proud of me. He just gave me that kind of unconditional love and support.
Yeah.
And I feel lucky to have that and feel that still, no matter what happens with this show or my career or whatever.
Mm. See, that's what I mean. Isn't it a beautiful thing that, like I said, like people kind of focus on the end bit, like I say, like with the bicycle chained to the railings and things like that. But you're like, to focus on what that person gave you when they were here, like that love and support, and you just knew that they just believed in you. It's such a wonderful thing that some people don't even get that in their life. They don't meet that. They don't meet those people. I've been very fortunate to meet so many people like that have always been supportive, and I've not always recognised it at the time. I've been too busy on my own path and always moving forward, and then it's not to look back and go, oh fuck yeah, that person was amazing, and I should have been more careful with that relationship. And I guess this is the thing with Jonathan. It's like a beautiful thing that you met in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. A wonderful thing, and I think that's how people should be remembered. Is like that so supportive, so kind, and so loving, and whatever you do going forward, that somewhere Jonathan's going to be like, fuck, look at him go, man. What do you know what I mean? It's lovely to carry on and be successful in their name. I think it's a really beautiful thing, and that's a more fitting tribute than nailing their bike to a railing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Where did you meet Jonathan?
At this festival called Spooky Bear in Provincetown. I've got the props with me. You know what bears are?
Oh yeah. Like I would be classed as a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to, or I still do, perform at these bear festivals in P-Town.
Okay.
So we met at this one called Spooky Bear, which is a Halloween version of the Gay Bear Festival in P-Town. So
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know there was a whole festival devoted to that.
Bears or Halloween?
Bears.
No, yeah, you have no idea. There is a whole world. It is so P-Town is this big tourist spot, and there are a bunch of different weeks of like theme weeks. There's, I don't know, I can't list them all, but Bears is the most popular one by far. I mean, the bear community, I think, is bigger than people realize. It's huge.
Really? I
Yeah.
had no idea. And I wonder why that is. Why? Because I get it all the time. I get it every time I meet people, and they just go, "Oh yeah, you'd be a great bear." And you're like, "Oh, thank you very much."
Yeah, yeah. I like that they say you would be.
Yeah.
Really
Well,
funny.
well, having had experiences, I mean, not many. I had a couple when I was a bit younger. Like I've talked about in my shows and things like that. When I worked in a gay sauna, and I so
Oh,
yeah, years ago, and
sure.
I had experiences, and it was like, but it made me kind of go, oh yeah, I'm straight, but I had a good time,
Sure.
not knocking it, but yeah, it's just but I didn't know there was a whole festival and the whole world devoted to that. Maybe that's where I'm missing out.
I mean, come on over to P Town for Bear Week. I'll show you. Spooky Bear is fun
Yeah,
because, oh yeah, I mean people go all out with the costumes, and P Town is obviously such a special place for me because that's where I met Jonathan. So I
yeah.
try to go back as much as I can.
And what's P Town? What is it? What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. P Town is the abbreviation for Provincetown.
Ah, right. Okay, I didn't
It's
know
off
that.
the coast of Boston.
Right. Okay, right. Got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
Uh,
I mean, as a younger dude as well, is it different now? I know this has been talked about before. I know that people, relatives of mine who were gay but couldn't come out because it was illegal in this country way back when. And then obviously over the years, it's become easier and easier for people to be more open about their sexuality. Has that been the same? Has that been for you as a younger dude? Was it easier for you to just come out and go, "This is who I am"?
yeah, I mean, when I grew up in Florida, I was closeted and I didn't tell anyone.
Right.
And I don't think went, if I came out and went to soccer practice the next day, I would have been fag bashed.
No.
Um, but there was still a lot of just work to be done.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anyone out in my high school. There wasn't many examples of positive gay role models. Although there was Modern Family on TV, and that was huge.
Right. Yeah.
That was, I think, when I was in high school, and I was obsessed with Glee too. But and then I went to college, and college was very liberal and very, accepting, and yeah, I mean, basically, I slowly came out to like different people, but I mostly just like downloaded Grinder and uploaded a Facebook, which to me was the easiest way to come out because you just let those queens talk. Well, they'll let them know for you.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's about to be illegal again soon. So
Fuck.
that'll
In the
be,
States.
yeah. Things are going the wrong direction.
Yes. Well, they were talking about this morning actually, my missus, and we were like, the laws that they're bringing in now, and the fact that they're so obsessed with God and Jesus. Again, like, see, I know it's always been there, but now it just seems like people in positions of power are now back talking about that shit, and you're like, what are you saying?
You know what? I just heard this. I'm really uneducated on this topic, but there was a guy who was talking about him leaving the church and how there's been this like huge exodus from, I don't remember which sect, but just I guess Christianity in the past 3-4 years.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting because I feel like religious fervor is gaining traction.
Yeah, definitely. And it feels like this obsession with how other people should and shouldn't live their lives. Like they're taking away more women's rights now, and the abortion things that they're bringing in, and the anti-abortion things that they're bringing in. And as you've just said, like people's sexuality is suddenly a problem again. And you're like, what the fuck is this? It doesn't. And the irony that the people that are bringing in these laws are gay but closeted, and that's the issue. And it just like, what the fuck is going on with people? Why can't we just? It doesn't affect your people's sexuality. Doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. Yet here we are, and I don't get it. Is it a power thing? I don't know.
And then when they're closeted, I like feel bad for them, and I just want to hate you. Let's just be straight, so I can be like, you piece of, but no, I don't know. If you're closeted and you're creating homophobic laws, I still hate you. Let me make that clear.
Yeah.
But there's like a small part of me that's like, oh, sweetie, just suck a dick. Just
Suck
do it.
a fucking dick.
Just suck a dick. It'll solve a lot. I mean,
honestly, for years after the experiences I'd had, and I was a bit weird about it, only because I didn't know how to tell friends and people like that, and like properly straight like men, but now I've talked about it in my show, and the whole bit has become a massive bit now, and people love it. And I've had people come up to me going, oh man, it's so good to hear someone like you talk about these things, because I was a bit worried. I experienced this thing with my best friend, and you're like, yeah, you should just talk about it. It's one of the most liberating things I've ever done. One, doing it, and two, talking about it. It was a great experience to have.
I think it's also, I think there's a, when you are one of these like hyper masculine guys, I think they are more likely to listen to someone like you than someone like me who's talking about, their sexuality and exploring their sexuality and how it's okay to do that stuff. Just because, I don't know. I used to do this. Oh, well, I think we mentioned Ha Comedy Club in New York. I think it's LOL now.
Oh, okay. Right.
And the audiences there are just so homophobic.
Really?
They're terrible. And it's still to this day. I mean, it's all conservatives. And actually, they changed the room. Apparently, the new room is less homophobic, but I haven't done it in years. But there would be comedians that would go up and do these jokes about doing gay stuff. And they would kill. We have different. Kill means good.
No, kill means good. Yeah. We get that over here. Yeah, kill, crush.
Like I was dying, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, are you like? That's a little intense. But bombing is not, I guess.
Yeah.
But they would do these jokes about, almost being attracted to a guy or almost sucking a guy's dick, and the audience would be laughing sort of for the wrong reasons. And that because I would go up and do a joke about sucking a guy's dick, and it wouldn't work because I'm gay.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not saying that, like, your joke. It's because of that I'm saying your joke sounds so fantastic, because I think it has that sort of opportunity to reach the people that will only laugh at a gay joke for the wrong reasons, but for the right reasons. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally get it. Yeah. If
you can kind of make fun of that homophobic impulse rather than the act.
Yeah.
Then, although I've never seen this joke and I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, but people always describe me as that. They always say I'm a geezer. That's what they say. They say like you're this like atypical heterosexual dude. I've done the jobs. I've been a builder and a van driver and all these sorts of things. A proper masculine. So to hear me talking about the fact that a dude paid me to suck my dick, and I enjoyed it. Yeah. And he paid me because he knew, the story, as it transpires, he knew, everybody in the gay sauna knew I was straight, but I was pretending to be gay because my friend who got me the job said, don't tell him that you're straight. He just did. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man.
There's so much questions I have.
Yeah. And it was great. And so now I just say, look, if someone wants to suck your dick, let them suck your dick.
There you
bearing
go.
in mind, well, it depends where you are, but,
did you say he paid you to suck your own dick?
He paid me to suck. He sucked my penis, and he
sucked your penis.
Yeah, and he paid me to.
What you said at the time was he paid me to suck my own. Whatever fetish that is.
Imagine.
Hilarious and expensive.
I don't think there's enough money in the world that would make me be able to suck my own dick. I'd give it a go, but I think I'm a bit chunky around the middle. I haven't got that flexibility. No, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd fucking go on a diet though.
Let's both try right now.
Yeah. Let's do it. Ready? Right. I can't. I'm not flexible enough. Mind you, I'm 51. I just get my balls in my face. I'd suffocate under my own bag.
You're good. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, anyway,
you'll do fine in Bear Week. You could probably do shows at Bear Week because people will come. I mean, you know, I'm telling you, you can get into this market. There's money.
Do you know what? I think as I get older and I become less restricted, maybe not restricted. What's the word? I don't know, but yeah, I'll come up and do the shows. I'd love that. Yeah, I'd have a great time. Why not? Do you know what? I think this is. I was talking about this ages ago because I was talking about pronouns and things like that, and I remember talking to someone and I said, surely it'd be a nicer place to be if we didn't have labels. We didn't have they, them, he, she, whatever. Be a nice place, even sexuality is like you're just people with other people. I think that would be a beautiful thing, Yeah,
just
I mean, it's grooving into each other.
I wish we had that world. I mean, it's obviously not the world that we have, so we kind of have to create these, these identities are very meaningful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, in an ideal world, like we're all. I feel like we're all working towards that.
Yes, I think most of us
are. Yeah, that's like the ultimate.
Just a place, yeah.
These signifiers aren't the most important thing in the world. At least I don't think so.
I just think it'd be nice if we got to a point where sexuality it wasn't a thing. It didn't matter. It was kind of, you were just having a nice relationship if you wanted to with whoever they were non-binary or they were gay or straight or whatever, but we just kind of just blended in and we were just kind of like, yeah, everyone's just having a nice time with each other.
I'm going to quote some gay history that I'm remembering, but I'm probably going to butcher, so fact check me.
Cool.
But I'm pretty sure, well, in the 1800s, it would be like commonplace for them to sleep in the same bed and cuddle and hold hands, maybe kiss in certain circumstances. And it was just because like homosexuality wasn't a thing that was really talked about.
Okay.
So homophobia wasn't a thing. So like there wasn't this, like we think of hypermasculine men as not like wanting to hug and touch other men all the time, but like that's how it used to be before homophobia.
Yeah. I totally get that. What a better place to be.
It is interesting how like we build these categories and then we have to react to how people react to them, and it'd be great. It would be great if everyone was just perfectly
in tune with everybody else. But I think it does. I think when you look down through the ages, there's been phases of that where men were more openly into each other and doing all these things, and then whatever happens in society, things shut down again, and then they shut down for a while, and then we prise them open again, and then I think that's just human nature, isn't it? I think we've always done that for however long we've been on this planet. We just kind of like. We open and we close and we open and we close. And now at the moment we're all closing down again for whatever reason. But hopefully we can prise it open again. More sooner than later, maybe.
I mean, if only these drag queens would stop having sex with children.
The most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. One of the most beautiful things I've seen. I was in New Zealand. I was in Auckland, and they had this big like street festival thing. And we were walking through, and there was a soccer match happening, and it was children and drag queens in full drag, heels, everything, playing soccer with the kids, and it was fucking amazing. It was amazing.
That's like logistically how does in heels? I don't.
Yeah, they were killing as well. They were absolutely killing. And I was just stood there with my friend Amy, and we were going, "This is the most surreal / beautiful thing I've ever seen."
I would say athletic. That sounds like the most athletic.
Right. These are pioneers, and they're getting blamed and shut down. They're getting shut down. You go, no. More people should be. We should have more drag queens in places doing things.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like we have a lot of niche sports leagues now. Drag queens playing any sport.
Yes. Imagine.
Like really, really playing, really competing with each other.
Yes.
I think that would be. I think RuPaul needs to have another TV show because she doesn't have enough. It like if it was drag queens in full drag playing football, these poor queens. You know, the reason I can never do drag is just because, you know, we if we have a gig at 7, we start getting ready at 7:05. You know? Throw on a t-shirt and get out there. They gotta prepare
from lunchtime. They get it
from lunchtime from the 2 weeks before. You're buying the makeup. It's so expensive.
It's expensive, man. Yeah.
You know, we can do multiple shows a night. No, not for them.
No, and they've got multiple layers on as well that are holding bits in, and then that bit's tucked under there, and then that bit popped up inside, and then that bit doesn't.
Because it is like the least sexualized. Like the chance of them getting fucked that night, 0.
Yeah.
Like comedians famously have sex with people on the road after shows. Yeah. Maybe that's like an old 70s trope, but like that can't happen for drag queens.
Can you imagine? It would.
I mean, I wouldn't go home with a drag queen because I feel like I'd just be sucking on like salt, you know?
You'd have to help them out of their things, and
I know
that would take ages. You'd have to say, listen, we'll pick this up tomorrow when you've gone home.
There has to be a drag queen that has done a show, met a cute guy, went home with them. You gotta get them on the pod and see what that experience is.
Find out how you manage.
How funny is it when you have to take off all the stuff and still try to keep it sexy?
Still try to keep it sexy. Then you got to pop it back out with a spoon. I don't know. It's a lot, and this is why they put so much. This is why I have so much respect for drag queens, because they put so much effort to get to that point where they're so ultra glamorous, and you just kind of. I know the first time I saw a real fully fledged proper drag queen, I remember just like I was in awe. I was like, man, and my brain was just spinning in its dome, just going, I'm having feelings, man. I'm having feelings, and I don't know, can't comprehend what's going on. And then you find out the amount of effort it took to get to that point, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And then she paid me to suck my dick because this was at the bathhouse.
And she paid me to suck my own dick.
It would be enough of an art form just to get dressed up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then you've got the lip syncing and the dancing and the comedy and the improv and all the writing. It's so many different skill sets. You know, I feel like maybe stand up is a lot of different skill sets.
Yes.
Depends on how you do it.
There is, but I tell you, I get hot sometimes if I go on stage with my jacket on. Can you imagine having to perform with all those layers? You've got all the pants, and then the pantyhose and whatever else you've got on, and then the girdle and the bra and the thing, and then the thing, and that's pushed up and that's shut down and that's clamped in and that's that, and then you've got to go on and perform. And like you say, improvise and be this ultra glamorous person, meanwhile, everything is shut down and your brain's just, and you have to kind of separate yourself from what your body's going through.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. And this is really the first time I've thought about this. Now we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Gonna have to talk to some.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it must be like, we've all had uncomfortable experiences on stage, whether I don't know, maybe you forgot to eat dinner, or like I'm diabetic. I've gone like low blood sugar, really high blood sugar on stage.
Yeah, right.
So it must be like that, but yeah. There's just times where you do have to do that. You have to separate your mind from your body, and they just must be really good at that.
Yeah. It takes the mental agility that must take.
Yeah. Have you ever had a gig where you like, I don't know, just felt really uncomfortable on stage for some reason? I feel like I'd say half the times I get on stage, I remember as soon as I got on stage, I forgot to eat dinner.
Right. Well, I've made the mistake, and I suppose it's different, isn't it, for you? You have to watch your blood sugar levels and things like that. Of course you do. Yeah.
I'll check it right now.
Yes, please do.
123.
Is that good?
That's great.
Yeah, all right, cool.
That's great.
So were you born with diabetes?
Yes, but it didn't like trigger in my body till like a year and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's genetic and you're like born with it, but you don't know you have it until your pancreas stops working.
Oh, shit.
Randomly for pretty much no reason. Anything can trigger it.
Fuck. Was it something, and did you become ill? Or did you kind of not feel right, or what was happening?
Yeah. Sorry. The symptoms are like you are peeing a lot, you have a weird taste in your mouth, you're constantly tired, you have a headache. It's all the symptoms of just going really high blood sugar.
Mm.
And then over time, you start to lose weight, and you can end up in something called DKA and end up in a coma. I did not. I luckily caught it before then, but it was pretty bad. And they brought me to the ER and, told me all these numbers. My A1C was 12. My blood sugar was in the 600s. And I was just like, cool. And they were like, bad.
Oh, wow. Right. And are you on medication now?
Yeah. So I have an insulin pump and I have a glucose monitor.
Right.
So the monitor was the thing on my phone that tells me my blood sugar, and the insulin pump gives me insulin. And I just got to match all my carbs. Anytime I have carbs, I need to inject myself with insulin.
Wow. And how often do you have to inject yourself?
Well, I have the pump. So the pump I have to put on my body with like a needle every 3 days.
Okay.
And once I do that, I don't have to inject myself, but I give myself insulin, I don't know, maybe like a dozen times a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it's some days are better than others. Ideally, you would just do it every time you have food, but
Yeah. And do you have to watch what you eat?
Yeah. You gotta match your carbs with your insulin. So it's just however much carbs you eat. You don't wanna be eating pasta every meal, because then your blood sugar is just gonna be all over the place, and you're just gonna have to managing it every day.
Yeah.
Or all day.
Wow, man.
But there are days when I, mostly eat keto, like low carb.
Yeah.
And I don't have to manage it as much.
Okay. So that's the thing. I remember at school there was a guy called Jason West, and he was the first person I'd ever met that had diabetes. And I remember that he used to have like biscuits, cookies with him all the time, just in case. And I'd never experienced that before. And I'm like, wow, yeah.
I know, it's actually like, I'm realizing how much money I've spent on, because you'll get better at it, but I've only had this for, I think it's a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years now, which is pretty new. my friend who's a type 1 diabetic and a stand-up was like, well, it's like a comic. If you see a comic who's less than 2 years in, you're like, you have no idea what you're doing. But I've been doing this for 12 years.
Yeah.
I know a lot more than you. So I'll get better at it. But I always have to have like fast-acting sugar. So candy, Skittles, Starburst is usually what I bring around. And then also like more complex carbs. So just different kinds of carbs for different situations. I'm constantly eating half a bar and then another half and then some Starburst all throughout the day. And I just have spent so much money on candy and like that's the most expensive part of diabetes. It's not the insulin. It's all the fucking Starburst you gotta buy.
And the dental floss.
And yeah, I know. It is a lot. And these bodegas in New York are $7,000 for this much candy.
Yeah, of course. Oh man. See, there's the thing, you don't think about that. You've got to monitor it all the time, and you've got to have it just before you go on stage.
Well, it depends on where my blood sugar is. But I am paranoid of going low. Going high is like, it sucks. You can't quite think as well, and you're tired, and you often have a headache. But going low is like, you feel like you're about to die.
Oh, wow.
And you can't think. Like, I can't when I go. It's like very foggy. So going low on stage, you can't like joke around it. But yeah. I've been high on stage a lot. So because I'm sort of paranoid of going low, I overcorrect, and I'm like, well, I'd rather be high than low.
Yeah.
I did it was just like a local news promo thing, but a TV interview where my blood sugar was in like the 300s, which is really high. This was just a couple weeks ago. And I don't know. This is crazy. You feel drunk when you're that high blood sugar.
Well, as you've just shown me your numbers and you told me it was from that, and now you tell me it was 300 when you were, Jesus Christ, you must have been climbing the walls at that point.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Well, I'm glad we got the numbers even for this chat, because it's been brilliant, Sam. Thank you so much.
We'll see. Yep, still good.
Yeah, man, we nailed it. Well done, Sam. And your Soho Theatre show starts?
May 17th.
May 17th. The details have come up now along the screen there for the people watching on the video. Where can we find you on the socials, Sam?
At Samuel H. Morrison.
Excellent.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all there, man.
Comedian. I think the Facebook is wrong, but that's fine. Okay,
we'll figure that out. But the comedian Sam Morrison TikTok?
Yeah, it's the same on all of them. At Samuel H. Morrison. TikTok, cool. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Grindr.
Okay, Grindr as well. Yeah, cool. Hey, you got to get it all you can, and if we can facilitate anything like that, brilliant.
Yeah, please. I mean, if I find my husband through Insane in the Membrane podcast, that'd be the story.
It would be a beautiful thing, and the first time ever. We've never done that yet. That'd be first class. You haven't put together soulmates yet? That's a little. Well, I'm not going to say red flag as a podcast, but well, no one has said yet.
All right. Well, I'll try my best. We'll see. If you're listening to this and you are a sexy daddy bear, I mean, come to Soho and we'll see what happens. Yeah, man. And if you have found your true love through Insane in the Membrane, do let us know, and that would be great. We'd like that. Yeah, we'd like to find that. Sam, thank you so much, mate. Good luck with the show, Soho Theatre. As I said to you, it's a great venue. I had a really good time there. I know that you will as well. Thank you. I appreciate it. You have a great time. Thank you so much for your time, Sam. Good luck with the rest of your day. I'll go back to bed, do whatever you need to do. This has been Insane in the Membrane. I've been Rich Wilson. This has been Sam Morrison, and we'll see you next time.